Let's get started.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to Slice of Piper. I'm Dr. Piper, here with the one and only Taylor.
Again.
Please,
somebody come on this podcast.
Nobody's coming to save you. So sad.
Why?
Except for maybe Alani.
Maybe someday.
Thanks, Alani.
I do like the new flavor, purple cotton candy. It's been a strong.
It is a fancy can for sure.
Only thing that I would comment on is I don't love the way that the cotton candy is drawn on the can. Looks a little.
Yeah, I agree. Looks a little bit like soft serve ice cream.
Sure, let's go with that.
I agree.
But the taste is very good. It's like cotton candy grapes.
The taste, the feel of cotton candy. It's the
Calgon, take me away.
There you go. Loving it. Very nice. Well, how's life in the Hayden household?
Life is good.
Living it up.
Yeah.
I think I've had one kid at camp almost all summer. So Caroline has been out she'll have had 3 weeks out, Caleb a week out, Cameron 2 weeks out. So it's been a little bit crazy, but but fun.
Good times.
They're doing Texas A&M stuff. Whoop.
Oh, whoop. Not that you're trying to convert them or anything.
Never.
Gosh. But would you be sad if they didn't go to A&M? If they went somewhere else? We're not going to, let's say it rhymes with shmee-you. Would you be sad?
Would I be a little
University
sad?
of Schmexis.
Probably. I don't think I would be sad. I think as long as their kids are happy, I'm going to be happy. But it will make for an interesting Thanksgiving Day if they become Longhorns.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you grew up in Austin, so you probably don't have a whole ton of animosity to UT.
Oh, no. I was supposed to go to UT.
Right.
But then I was going to be living at home.
And you said, no deal.
I said, what about Texas A&M? It seems like a great place, and it's not at home.
Mm-hmm.
So
the whole reason you went to A&M was just because you didn't want to live at home?
No, I actually really liked it. We visited it. I thought it was a cool place. And it turned out to be great. So it was awesome.
I only went to visit just because I wanted the day off from high school to...
Nice. And then you ended up making your career there.
Yep. Well, my scholarship was for public universities in Texas, so that took Baylor and all those off the table. And so I could pick UT, I could pick A&M, were the two obviously big ones at the time. You could take it to Tech, but who's going to do that?
Yeah, that is far away and hot and a little dusty.
Yeah, and it's Tech.
If you go to Texas Tech, we still love you. Andy means.
Speak for yourself. I do love Andy.
Andy's going to come on this podcast. Now you've dogged his college.
I dog his college to his face, and that's okay.
Well, that's going to make for a good podcast. Then.
Part of the deal we have with each other. It's
right.
Fine.
Andy's waiting for some NIL money so he can come back.
Yeah. When we have to talk about cereal, we have to update that.
Correct.
Lots of cereal consumption happening in the Means house.
Yes, he's a cereal lover.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Means, if you're listening, come on, man.
The only nice person I've ever met that went to Tech.
Wow. Taylor is painting with broad strokes. She's firing across the bow.
I got hit by a D-cell battery at the A&M Tech game by one of the fans throwing it amongst the tortillas and everything else.
That's not good.
Correct. Crazy. They ripped the logos off my car. Again,
ouch.
I'm allowed to have some hard feelings about that.
Yeah, but not all Tech fans are like that.
Not all. That's correct. That's what I said. Andy's the nicest one I've ever met.
There you go. All good.
Yeah.
All good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's on our docket for today? We've got some excitement.
What's the excitement?
I don't know. We're talking about...
That you were in the Wall Street Journal?
Ah, yes.
That's exciting.
That was exciting.
Yeah. It's a nice picture of you in there.
It's a major award.
Yeah. How did you get that?
I got a phone call and then was offered an interview. And then I had to do an interview. And I did an interview and then a follow-up interview. And then they said, congratulations.
Sweet.
So I was like, well, that was really nice. They basically got my bio, talked about my parents and childhood and family and all kinds of other crazy fun stuff. It was a good talk. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congrats again.
It's a good organization that I feel excited that I got the chance. So
there you go. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's true. And I got to be in the Wall Street Journal, which is, probably I'll take myself public. I have an IPO. It's coming.
You and Elon.
Me and Elon.
That's the second time he's made it onto this podcast.
Come on, Elon.
He's going to show
You
up.
and Andy Means.
That'd be a fun one to have them together.
Yes.
When
Tell us
we're
what you
talking
think
about
about
cereal.
What do you think about Texas Tech, Elon?
Yeah. What's your preferred cereal? I bet it's like shredded wheat without any frosting on it.
Do you just like small pieces of cardboard cut up in
Do you eat Weetabix?
grape nuts?
Grape nuts. That was my dad's. He loved that one.
That'll tear your mouth apart.
I don't know if he loved it or he just thought it was like counteracting the cigarettes and Dr. Pepper. Like, this is so terrible. It's got to be doing some good for me.
This is just literally ripping my gums to pieces.
I should get a shirt that says that: grape nuts and Dr. Pepper and cigs. Like,
Nice.
the epitome of health.
It's all good.
Yeah. We were going to talk today about your perpetual resident rule.
Oh, nice. Always learning.
Why don't you explain that to the audience, all three of them?
Well, hey, so all three of you, here it comes. Let me drop some knowledge on you. One of the things I think that as a student, whether you're a high school student, which we've had some high school students shadowing us, whether you are a college student, whether you're a medical student, whether you're a resident, is always like, can I get to that spot? And once I get here, then I'll be happy. And the reality is, it's a lot like what Taylor always says, is the juice worth the squeeze? And what I say back is, the juice doesn't matter. It's all about the squeeze.
We agree to disagree.
If you do not enjoy life and you do not enjoy what you're doing, then reaching for that next step won't get you there. But if you feel like, hey, if I can get to that spot, if I can just graduate medical school, then I'll be happy, right? You ultimately will not ever be happy. You can't make that goal the foundation of your happiness. And so as a perpetual resident, that means that what you were doing in residency, you've got to keep doing. You've got to keep doing it when you get out. You've got to keep learning. You've got to keep trying to get better. You've got to keep going to meetings, can keep doing continuing education, keep striving not only in the operating room, but in your clinic to do, the best cutting edge, highest level things that provide the best care for your patients. And so, and frankly, if I stopped learning 15 years ago, we wouldn't be doing half the things that we're doing right now.
Sure.
So,
well, and I think, we've talked before, one of my favorite one of my mantras or things that I tell myself all the time is that ancora imparo, still I am learning.
Right.
And I think part of that is easy to talk about. As people who, study and are in science, we are constantly looking up literature and learning in that way. But another way that maybe isn't as apparent once you're no longer in residency is having your mentors, right?
Sure.
People who are still imparting knowledge and teaching you.
Right.
And so with the perpetual resident rule, what that also implies is there's also some perpetual attendings out there, right?
Correct.
And so your mentors. And so can you think about a mentor that you had during your training that was influential to you and that maybe still impacts your practice today and how you do things today?
Sure. So, we had so many that were so good at what they did. And that was really, really the key. I think that I remember one of our trauma attendings, she insisted on perfection. So, right, it needed to be perfect. You've got to have this lined up perfectly. The reduction needs to be perfect. Your fixation needs to be perfect. Visually, it should look perfect. Your closure should be perfect. And so you always strive for that, right? You always strive to do it right so that patients can have the best outcomes. And she would say things like, hey, look in my clinic and see how many nonunions do I have, right? How many fractures didn't heal, right? And it was few to none, right? Almost everything heals if you can get it lined up and held stable like it needs to be, right? Not everything, but almost everything. And so I remember that. I think she's still a person who I would call if I needed it, if I had a question about something. But we had tons of those. I had an attending who decided straight out of as soon as he joined UAB, I'm going to be a shoulder specialist. And that guy read every single article that he could find about shoulder. That was all he taught. He lived, he ate, drank, and breathed shoulder, and that was what he learned. And now he's one of the leading shoulder experts in the country. And so, I think that there's a lot of those guys that are out there that they set a high level of expectation, not only for themselves, but for the people around them. And I think that's a huge thing. So,
well,
and probably my biggest mentor is my dad.
I was going to ask about the other Dr. Pfeiffer, not the one you're married to, but
Yeah, I mean, so above all of those was my father, right? My dad has been my mentor since I was a kid. I mean, I remember pouting, sweeping on the back porch, and him telling me, if you just do your best work, then you'd be done with this already, right? If you just, right? He's the one who taught me the Texas sheet cake rule, which is you measure your success based on the number of sheet cakes you get at Christmas time, right? Because Miss Elizabeth White would make us a sheet cake every year. And, you know, I just remember that, like, it just reminds me that life is not about accolades. It's not about the Wall Street Journal. It's about the interaction that you have with patients. It's about that time when somebody really appreciates what you did for them. And when you can feel confident that you did your best for somebody and that you helped them, right, to live a better life.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I love my dad. And I mean, we just got to see him last weekend in Austin, and just, you know, I mean, he and my mom have done so many crazy things. You've heard about Camp Pfeiffer a million times. Like, Camp Pfeiffer is just so crazy because it's now been, I think, 12 or 13 years that we've been doing it. My niece and nephew, who are both 19, finished their freshman years of college, came back to come hang out with their cousins at this Camp Pfeiffer, where we're having activities, playing by the lake. We're barbecuing. I mean, it's like having a mini family reunion every single year. And he set that up. My mom and dad set that up. And it's crazy, but it's something that my kids and my brothers and sisters' kids all look forward to every year. And I think life is, you can get wrapped up in life and lose sight of what your purpose is. And if you let yourself get wrapped up in that, like, I mean, I think I talked with our student today. I said, there's not a single person on earth who, laying on their deathbed, said, man, I wish I had worked a little more.
Right. No, and I mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, if I'm thinking about my own dad, that was one of his big regrets. He died when he was fairly young, and said, you know, he wished that, you know, he hadn't put so much stuff off. Like, he kept saying, well, when I retire, I'm going to do this. When I retire, I'm going to travel. When I retire, I'm going to go see this thing that I really want to see and do this. And retirement never came for him, you know,
Right.
and he spent most of my childhood when I was really young working a ton of hours, traveling a lot for work, making a name for himself. And he became very, very, very good at what he did.
Yeah.
But at the cost of his health, right? I mean, the grape nuts, cigs, Dr. Pepper diet didn't do him very well. And, you know, that took a toll,
Right.
as well as with his other concomitant medical conditions. And so it's, you know, it's sometimes you get some of the best advice from the people you look up to, and sometimes you also get some of the worst,
Sure.
right? So there's sometimes that your mentors, some of them are really good, but the advice maybe is advice you end up not following, and some mentors maybe not as good.
Sure.
Can you think of maybe some advice you got early on in your career and your training that wasn't was advice that maybe at the time you like took to heart, but now you're like, maybe not?
So, I mean, I think that there are so many different things. There's so many different examples and so many different leadership styles that are out there. One of them that I remember very well that I have found to maybe not be true, at least not on all occasions. And I mean, I've done a lot of medical leadership stuff from the chief of staff and all those different things, but in residency, I had one attending who said, if the administration at the hospital is happy with you, then that means that you're getting screwed, right? Like, they're taking advantage of you. And that's a pretty cynical view of it. Now, does the hospital benefit a whole lot from surgeons and physicians who are working? Absolutely. Do they benefit even disproportionately to the amount of work and value that we bring? I think I would argue that may even be true as well. But my experience, at least with the administrators that we work with and that I work with on a daily basis, is that nobody's out to try to get me, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And so I think that, and living life in a way, and not that, and this particular attending is a friend of mine. He's a great guy. I talk to him on a pretty regular basis, but I would say that hasn't borne out for me that, hey, if the administrators are telling you're doing a great job, then that means that really you're just getting hosed, you know? And I don't think that's the case.
Sure. One that comes to mind for me, I was thinking about this while you, like when you started talking about it, I was like, man, I can remember one time I had seen a patient, I'd been in the room in a while, and I came out, and the surgeon at that time was like, Why were you in there so long? An office visit should never take you that long. I've been standing here waiting for you for at least 15 minutes. And I said, I'm sorry. And then I explained what was going on with that patient. And they just needed more time, right? They needed more counseling. They needed more advice. They needed more guidance.
Right.
And he said, you are not their therapist or their life coach. You get in, you address only the orthopedic problems, and you get out of that room, because I can't have you taking this long to see patients. And at that time, I was like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I'll try to be more succinct. And I think my patient care in that period where I was trying to adhere to that advice suffered. Sure. I don't think I was giving the level of care that I'm capable of, because while he was correct, I'm not their life coach, I'm not a psychiatrist or a therapist, but orthopedics and orthopedic surgery and recovery and rehabilitation is not just about putting the pieces back together and saying the pieces are still holding, get out of my office, right? Come back to me with you have another surgical problem. That, and that's, I agree. And that's not the way that I can treat people. If somebody's struggling with their recovery because they're lacking motivation, if they're struggling with their recovery because their diet is off, right? And I can tell that they're having wound healing issues or healing issues because clearly they're not. I had somebody today I had to talk to about that. This person has had immense tragedy happen in the postoperative period that they couldn't have controlled. But as a result of that, they're not eating well. And because they're not eating well, what are the complications we could see from that?
Yeah.
Right. And if I'm not addressing those things with that person and taking empathy to acknowledge what's going on with them, the reality of the world we live in and that they're living in right now, but that we have to find the motivation to fuel our body appropriately, because otherwise we're going to have these complications and life is going to get way harder. Right. And this may not be, this may become insurmountable. Right now it's not, but it could. Not spending that extra 10 minutes listening to them and helping them come up with a plan that works for their situation.
Sure.
I don't regret that time. Yeah, it made me a couple minutes late to my next patient, but I don't care. The patient after them doesn't care because I spend the time they need.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. We hear that all the time. This is a surgical clinic. We're doing surgery, right? You don't need, you're not their counselor. Yeah. But I think that a little bit, we read the book Unreasonable Hospitality. I think changing that mindset, it makes a huge difference. If you, willing the good of a person is not just willing the good of an elbow, right? Willing the good is not just willing somebody's hip, right? If you don't realize that the mortality risk from somebody who has a hip fracture, who's not taking their medications, who's not doing the things they need to do is exponentially higher, then you're losing sight of what you need. And the reality is, if you're treating a hip fracture like it's a paycheck instead of treating it like it's a patient, then you're doing a disservice to yourself, a disservice to your patients, a disservice to medicine, and ultimately it's going to burn you out. You're going to be so burnt out you won't know what to do because everything just becomes a checkbox, And that's once you lose a purpose, that's when I think burnout starts just running rampant in medicine, because it's I just have another day. I just have to go through. I got another 30 people to see in clinic, another hip pain, and that's not if you can't dive into the fact that I'm helping make somebody else's life better, then you're going to lose sight of what you're doing it for. Right. Right. And if the purpose is money, then
there are a lot better ways to make money.
Right. It's not going to take long.
Yeah. So talking more about that mentorship, if you're mentoring somebody, so now instead of talking about your mentor, people who have mentored you, if you're being a mentor, if you have a resident or somebody that's training with you or under you, is there something when you meet somebody or in the first few days to weeks of knowing them that you can get a feel for what kind of doctor or surgeon they're going to become? That you're yeah, this person's going to do well, or this person's got some hard times ahead of them that they may not do as well in this profession.
So, we definitely see that. You definitely can see that in your initial meetings, and all of it has to do, again, you got to go back down to that purpose, right? People who are inquisitive, people who are interested, they're driven to serve others, right? Those people, I think, will do very, very well. And you may not have the best hand skills. You may not be the smartest. You may not be I'm talking basically about myself. But they're willing to work. They are working for the right reasons. They're doing the things they need to do. And then all of those other things can develop, right? If you're not in it for the right reason, if you're not interested, if you're not inquisitive, if you're going to do, right? I tell this to my kids all the time, right? What Olympian have you met who said, I'll just do the bare minimum so I can get there?
Right.
Right. What World Cup soccer player is saying like, oh, I'll just do the bare minimum so I can be on the team. Right. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to excel and wants to do the best they can do. And so for me, you can find that quickly. You can see who's getting through a rotation and who is going to try to excel, even if they want to be an OBGYN or a family practice doctor. If they're saying like, learning orthopedic surgery and understanding what's going to happen, I see how this is going to translate into my future for my patients. Those people are going to do great wherever they are.
Absolutely. So, one thing that you touched on earlier that makes me think about that is purpose, right? You can tell by somebody's purpose, like, and if they're driven by it, because motivation fades. It fades so quickly.
Absolutely.
You cannot do a lot of things you can't be sustained motivation based.
Sure.
Right. But if you have that as your purpose, if that's your drive, then that will keep you putting along a lot longer and allow you to do things like have those late nights, take those extra cases to get that experience even when you're tired, right? I mean, like you just said, one of the more there's a family medicine residency program, one of the places I worked, and they got to come into the OR with us in ortho, and a lot of them, they lacked motivation. They half the time didn't show up, right? Or they would just stand. But I remember there was this female physician who she scrubbed in. She wanted to try to reduce the hip. She wanted to do everything that she could get her hands on, even though she's going into family medicine.
Sure.
And you could tell that she was so purpose-driven because she wanted to be able to explain and understand this for her future patients. That I was like, man, if she goes into practice anywhere around here, I'll be her patient, right? Because she's very purpose-driven.
I think, and I agree.
And she was probably all of about 80 pounds. And she's sitting there cranking on that hip. And I was like, it's all about leverage. And I showed her how, I do it because it's one thing when you watch a guy go and reduce a hip that's, bigger and stronger, but it's different when you see somebody who's smaller, get it done. And so I was like, it's all about leverage, showed her how to do it. And then she did it right after me. And she was like, that's like the coolest thing I'll do for the next, week. Yeah. Is say that at my size and stature, I was able to pop a hip back in.
Yep.
I'm like, yep. I said, you'll be able to do it now. If you ever come into the situation, you'll know how to do it.
Yeah.
She was jazzed.
So. I think I agree with you 100%. Purpose is what is going to drive you, right? And you got to be able to find that. If you can't figure out what your purpose is, then you're going to be lost. And it doesn't mean you have to, but I mean, even with my kids, I mean, Cameron's like, I got to get my applications into A&M. I want to do this and this and this, and I need to make sure I have these extracurriculars. And, we have a student who's talking about similar things, it's rigorous and it's stressful. And it's like, life is too short, man. Life is too short to live as a 17-year-old stressed out about like that stuff. And now, you shouldn't have no purpose, right? You shouldn't have zero drive or zero like inquisitiveness. Like, what are you going to do? But by the same token, you got to go start loving life and have a reason, right? Why do I want to apply to A&M? Why do I want to apply? Like, do I want to apply to Harvard because I just want to see if I can get into Harvard? Well, that's stupid. To me, that's like
that's pride. Yeah,
right. That's dumb. And so now, if you said, "Hey, I want to go to wherever," I've got a nephew who was looking at Auburn and Baylor, and I was like, "Why do you want to go to Auburn and Baylor?" He was like, "Because I want to be an airline pilot. And those are two of the best places for me to be able to do it. That I know I have a great chance to get into." And he's like killing it. He's already flying by himself, flying at night, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He just finished his freshman year, and you're like, man, that's awesome.
When people sometimes make purpose into such a much bigger thing than it has to be. Right. Purpose doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a 10-step plan or itinerary, right? Purpose can be simple, and I find that the simpler it is, like the more genuine it seems to be. Like when you ask people to talk about purpose, like for me, my purpose, I want to help people.
Right.
I keep it it's literally in the title I carry as my job as physician assistant. I assist. Right. And that has been the drive. I mean, when I boil it down to everything, that's what I want to do. I want to help people. And if I'm motivated by that, then it's easy to do the things that help people, right? It's
Right.
easy to have compassion for people and to spend the extra time with them, even though it's, it may come at a consequence to me cutting into my lunch break. Oh, so sad, or whatever, because
Right.
it's the right thing to do for that person looking
Sure.
at me.
Sure.
I'm not motivated by how much revenue can I generate,
Right.
or how many, patients can I squeeze into my clinic to just get it absolutely overstacked but I can't spend quality time with people. It's just providing people with a level of care and compassion that I feel like, at least myself, that I haven't always experienced when you go into the, see somebody in the medical field. And that should transcend, your purpose should transcend outside your career too. And helping people is the purpose I bring to my home, right? I want to help those little people and that big person I'm married to, right? And if I'm always living with that as my purpose and my value.
Right. What is it? That's love, right?
Right.
That's loving people. That's
Absolutely.
willing the good of the other. That's serving others. That's being a servant leader. I mean, that's love, right? That's crazy because we don't talk about love. We don't talk about love at work all the time. We don't talk about, we talk about it more than probably a lot of people do. Not between us, but I do love you, but all good. In the boss employee way, I'm saying we talk about love as willing the good of the other.
Correct.
And willing the good of the other and serving people and having a purpose, right? That's all the key.
Absolutely.
That's good. So,
well, and that's the thing is if you're using that as your driving force for things, like it's easy to get annoyed with your spouse, for example, but then go, how does me holding on to this help me love this person better?
yep.
And when you frame things differently, it's easy to let go of something that could have nagged at you, or it's easier. It's not easy, but it's easier, right? To let go of something that might have been something that, got at you for a while.
Yeah.
And the same thing here at work, the same thing in my community, the same thing when somebody cuts me off in traffic on my drive home today.
Yeah.
Assuming like, hey, what is me being upset, rageful, angry, yelling, throwing my, horn on or anything like that? What does that help?
Right.
Well,
it's interesting because we get that opportunity, right, to talk with patients in all age groups, and so we get to hear a lot of people who are in their 70s and 80s, and you do get to hear that, right? Like you hear it sometimes, and you'll hear it, and you see it in patient rooms, and we see it when you get to know people a little bit better. And I'll never forget the patient who told me, "I just wish that I didn't hold on to things. I wish I forgave faster." Right, because we got to see that. And when you establish relationships with people, you see people and you see them, and then they show up and their spouse isn't with them. And it's like, well, are they at a doctor's appointment or they just stay home sick? But sometimes it's because they're not with us anymore. And so you get to hear that. And I think it was really impromptu that she brought that to us. But she basically she told. This was been within the last 6 months, I think, as I think about it. But she just said. I don't know if she read it somewhere, but it was like out of the blue.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had forgiven faster, and I wish I'd held on to things less.
right.
Hold on to the things that matter and that make you happy as long as you can, and let go of all the other stuff.
Right. Well, and another, again, advice from my dad was he had always had an expo board in his office. He was an engineer. Before expo, it was a chalkboard. And there was always stuff written on there. And I would ask, when I shouted him at work when I was in high school, I was like, why do you have this in here even? He said, because when somebody comes in and wants to know the answer to something, I show them how to do it. And I remember thinking at the time, that's got to be annoying if you work with this dude. Like, he's not just going to give you the answer. He's going to show you the math, how you get to the right answer and stuff every time. And he tutored kids in math for junior and high school and college. On the side too, just because he enjoyed teaching people. And he said, well, because they have to take ownership that they are capable of solving this and figuring out themselves. Or if they understand the why, then it helps them to not make mistakes in the future, or to know when to bring something to me versus bringing it to a different person in the department. And I definitely, at least in our practice, and as long as I've been a PA, I do the same thing. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, this person's coming in with this problem, I got these x-rays, and I'll say, well, we actually need these, and this is why, and explain, to the level of understanding they have why that is. And I know sometimes I've gotten eye rolls, like, I don't want to have to do that. And those people haven't made it very long here, right? Because again, their purpose is not that they're here to help people. It's they're here to collect a paycheck or whatever. But I mean, our team we have now, they've all been
Here for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And it's because their purpose is similar. They could go make the money they're making here or make more doing something else. They choose to be here because they have that goal.
Yeah,
right?
they believe in what we're doing.
Right.
They believe in the service we're providing and that we're making a difference for people, which I think is
and that
they're
like
making a
me,
difference.
we all get to work for the best doctor in the state of Texas. So maybe in the United States of America, the Wall Street Journal agrees.
Oh, she's going to drop the mic on that. Mm-hmm. Very nice. All right. Thanks, Taylor. Here you go. Bless you.
Thank you. Can we please get some different theme music?
I don't know how to get new theme music. But maybe.